Welcome to another episode, everyone. The Crips attacked a member of the Nation of Islam. Nevertheless, the dude from the Nation of Islam used to be a Crip. This is why they attacked him. But the Nation of Islam, the Muslims, took umbrage to this, of course, and they responded in a brutal way, really surprising everyone on the yard. This transpired in Corcoran State Prison, circa 95, 96. And the Muslims were on the yard, and there were quite a few of them. However, there were only a few members of the Nation of Islam because there are different sections or factions of Muslims, if you will. Sunni Muslims, regular Muslims, the Nation of Islam, they're all sort of different. The Nation of Islam have their own doctrine, their own organization. They fraternized with the rest of the Muslims that were on the yard, but they really kept to themselves, the Nation of Islam that were on the yard, and did their own thing. But they were cool with all of the brothers that were on the yard, Bloods and Crips. They worked out in unison. Again, 4 or 5 of them on the yard. They worked out in unison. They ate together. They stuck together. They studied, etc. And they would sometimes kick knowledge to the brothers, the gang members on the yard. They were well respected and well protected. Now, Louis Farrakhan of the Nation of Islam helped to orchestrate, as did the Nation of Islam, the Million Man March of 1995. But really, you can say it was orchestrated by every black man in America who decided to descend upon Washington, D.C. And when this move happened, and many things should have really transpired from the Million Man March that has not transpired, because it really should have been handled differently. But it was a beautiful sight nevertheless. And many people at that juncture, after the Million Man March, right there in prison, began to convert to the Nation of Islam because of the demonstrations that they put on during the Million Man March and helping to orchestrate the Million Man March. So they ended up garnering a lot of respect in the black community, excuse me, and in the black community right there in prison. So many gang members now, just like on the street, when they were converting to Islam, they're now converting in prison. The Nation of Islam is going through a little metamorphosis somewhat in prison at this juncture, if you will. They're trying to decide whether or not the white man is the devil or not. They went back and forth a couple of times about this. I know this. Nevertheless, they're strong presence. They're in prison again, and they are being well respected. Now, they have new converts. Because of the Million Man March display, people want to now convert to the Nation of Islam. They've been imbued, suffused with black pride, with a black consciousness based upon this Million Man March. And they now want to become followers, if you will, of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan and be a part of the Nation of Islam. So you have a couple of individuals there in prison, there on the yard in Corcoran, from different gangs who decided really to convert, or they were at least pondering the possibility of potentially converting to the Nation of Islam. But one Crip in particular did convert to the Nation of Islam. He didn't really hesitate, and he was not straddling the fence. He made it abundantly and explicitly clear that he was done putting his flag down. And he was turning Muslim, the Nation of Islam, and throwing up the fist. Black power is what he was now about, never wanting to destroy his people or community again. the Nation of Islam, they accepted him. And he converted whatever their procedure is to actually convert to the Nation of Islam, to convert to a Muslim. He went through that ritual. Maybe ritual is not the right word, excuse me, but he went through that process. And he's a Muslim now. But the Crips are none too happy about this new development. Well, they have numbers on the yard, but they want to keep these numbers. And every gang has pride. And no one wants someone leaving their hood. I've told you before, there have been times when individuals have turned in their flag right there in prison, and it's been fine. They've gotten away with it. And there have been other times. It depends on your gang and where you're from and who you are, I guess. Because there are other times where individuals, even OGs, have turned in their flag right there in prison and said, I'm done with this. I'm a Muslim now. Or I'm a non-affiliate. I don't bang anymore. I'm done with this shit. This shit is trash. I'm older now. I've been in here for 25 years. I'm trying to go home. I can't keep going to the parole board with a life sentence, and I have stabbings on my jacket, violence on my jacket because I'm in here gang banging and putting in work. I'll never make it out. And so as they get older, they turn in their flags. Some people have been able to get away with this, as I've said, but some have not. I've brought you stories where individuals were stabbed up brutally just for telling their gang that they no longer wanted to be a part of that gang. They no longer wanted to gang bang. Individuals in their 50s even. It's like, at what point can I give it up? I'm 55 years old. I still have to be running around here saying, cuz? At 55? This shit is for life, bro. You can't give it up. And hit them up. Depends on your gang, and I guess who you are, how well you are respected from your gang, whatever their reasoning is for letting it go or not letting it go. And in this situation, these individuals did not want to let it go. They felt like they needed this individual on their side. He was a strong individual from their hood. And who the hell do you think you are? Turning on the hood is how they took it, right here on the yard. This is not going to go over. So they approached this individual and they let him know, bro, you still from the set. You not a Muslim. Don't be in here playing that, coming in here trying to turn Muslim and all that. You know, trying to make it out. You don't even have life in prison. People who have life, they come in here trying to convert to Christianity or Islam to show the parole board that they've changed and to walk a straight line and what have you in order to go home. You have a parole date. You're already going home. What are you doing? He explained that based on the Million Man March and this feeling that he now had for his people, that he no longer wanted to be a member. Yes, he was dedicated and loyal, but now he's going to be dedicated and loyal to the cause. But again, this did not sit well with the Crips. They were none too happy about his decisive, unbridled, unfettered decision. It was clear that this individual had converted and was serious about it. I mean, I think part of the problem that the Crips were having was that he converted so fast, that he gave up his flag so fast and said that I'm done. And it happened just suddenly out of nowhere. 1 minute he was loped out, cripped out, gang banging. He was a reputable from his hood, a strong, solid individual. And then when the Million Man March happened, all of a sudden he said, man, I'm done with this, and went to Islam with the 4 or 5 Muslims that were on the yard. But he has the agency and the volition to make his own decisions as a man. So say I. But that's what I say. Nevertheless, that is not what the Crips said. Again, they took umbrage. And when they approached and let him know that this would not suffice, that he needed to rethink his decision and fast, and he made it explicitly clear that he would not do so, that he was done with the gang. Like, take it how you want to take it, bro. I'm done. I'm not from the hood anymore. I'm from Islam. The Crips said, okay, fine. But it was not fine. In that moment, they began to plot a brutal attack upon the former member. But little did the Crips know that the Nation of Islam took his conversion very serious. Once you convert to Islam, whether it's been a day, an hour, a minute, a month, or a year, you are now one of them, and they will fight with you and fight for you to the death. They had accepted him as one of their own. Yes, it had happened suddenly, but they believed in him and believed that he was done with it. So did I. He made it clear. He had now converted, and that was that. But the Crips began, to have sinister machinations and to plot an attack on this individual, thinking that the Muslims, we found out later, the Crips admitted this, that they thought the Muslims would stand down, that they didn't really accept him as one of them already. In fact, they had approached the Muslims and let them know, bro, this dude trying to act like he a Muslim. He's from our hood. And the Muslims, they did let the Crips know. No, he's not. He's now from the Nation of Islam. He's a Muslim. He took the Shahada or the Jihad or whatever it is. He took it. He's one of us. Stand down. But being that it's only 3, 4, 5 Muslims on the yard, the Crips were not worried whatsoever. They have innumerable numbers on the yard as it relates to the Muslims. Even all of the Muslims combined, much less just the Nation of Islam. Even if the other Muslims on the yard had the Nation of Islam's back, they were sorely outnumbered. The Crips, they knew this. And again, didn't even think that the Nation of Islam would make a move if they attacked this individual, because as far as they're concerned, this is their homeboy. We're attacking our homeboy. Y'all better stay out of this shit. They still think, they're approaching it like this is their homeboy still. He's from our hood. And now he's trying to get out of here. He's trying to do some bullshit and say he's not from the hood no more, and we're not going to accept that. Other gangs may accept that, but we're not. A day or so later on the yard, they attacked their former member. 3 or 4 Crips. They brutalized the individual. He was fighting back because he was a strong, solid individual from their hood. And I believe that he had a feeling that this was coming, because out there on the yard, he was being very observant. And at the time, it was only like one other Muslim or so on the yard with him. And they didn't attack the other Muslim, and he stood down. And let the Crips really brutalize viciously their former member. And he was leaking on the yard, having fought back valiantly, but no match for the 3 or 4 individuals. Exhausted, bleeding, out of breath, and probably hurt to his core. He lied down on the ground. No more fight left in him. And they continued to pummel upon him And the other Muslim, he stood by. But he was not happy. In hindsight, you can see that he was almost shaking his head, saying, this is not over. They took the former Crip off the yard, bleeding, exhausted, humiliated, disgusted, in shambles, and wondering, what the hell have I just done? But the Muslims, the Nation of Islam, once they got word of what had happened to their comrade, the person they believed in, who was now one of them, well, they began to plot revenge immediately. They began to plot out an attack on the Crips, but they knew that they would have to be strategic because they were far outnumbered. In order to survive the attack, they would have to use their brains. It would have to be a sneak attack of sorts. And whoa, did they indeed carry it out? And in part 2, I'll let you know how the Nation of Islam, aggravated and outraged and enraged about the fate of their comrade, how they responded rather quickly, immediately, and to everyone's surprise, they went up against the almighty Crips, just the 4 or 5 of them on the yard. And when I tell you that they held their own, that's what I mean. Stay safe and stay free, people.